Greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 209 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis, and I am your host. I got a co-host. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, you walked out of my dreams and into my arms. Now you're my angel divine.
Oh, I know it, but I can't recall who it is.
You're 16.
You're
You're
beautiful.
beautiful, and you're mine.
Yeah. Right. Oh man, I hate getting old.
You're my baby. You're my pet. We fell in love on the night we met. Yeah.
No, Neil Sedaka.
No,
No,
not even close.
you sure?
I'm totally sure. It was a big hit for
Was
this
it?
ex-Beatle.
Was it Harrison?
No, no.
Ringo
He
Starr?
wouldn't be caught dead singing this song.
Ringo Starr?
Yes, Ringo Starr. Big
Uh,
hit. Maybe his biggest. I don't know.
yeah, a little
Uh,
disturbing, but whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why am I singing this to you? You're never gonna get it.
I have no idea.
Well, it's the story we're covering today takes place in 1974, and this was a top hit in 1974, number 5 to be exact, in January. And so I was looking at top hits of 1974. This one stood out to me because none of the others had any connection. But
Yeah.
there is a young lady, could be 16, that we see at the end of this issue.
Okay.
And I'm sure there is plenty a comic reader back in the day who had a crush on her.
All right. All right. Well, that's something to look forward to anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we are covering today part 3 of the Secret Empire, which is a story that took place from the headlines, really, of what was going on. And if you haven't um, listened to parts 1 and 2, highly recommend you do that first because otherwise you might be a little bit lost here. But episode 201 was the first part of the Secret Empire, and then episode 205 was part 2. And this is our long tail story that we do one issue at a time. We're doing it the second Wednesday of every month. And so here we are at part 3, Bob. Are you excited for it?
I am excited for it, Rick. I am. Yes. But I'm so like you threw me over with the greeting that I had to look it up. And it turns out that was a cover song by Ringo Starr from like the 1960s. A group called the Sherman Brothers. Like I could have swore it was written by. I had to know if maybe the
It
lyrics
was
were
Neil
by.
Sedaka.
No, it wasn't. It was by Robert and Richard Sherman, the Sherman Brothers, who
Hmm.
first performed it in 1960. But it just sounds like something that Neil Sedaka. I'm a big fan of Neil Sedaka. I love. He's got a radio show. I think I've mentioned it before
Yeah,
on
it's
Sirius
yeah.
XM,
Hmm.
and so I'm sure I think he's played that on his radio, and that's probably why I associate it with him. But
Yeah, it's that bubblegum kind of,
yeah, it's a fun song like
yeah,
Calendar
little
Girl
ditty.
or
Yeah,
any of those.
exactly.
They knew how to write them in '60s, but it hits
Hmm.
different, I think, today.
You think?
Doesn't it
Yeah.
though?
You
Like
mean a grown man adult singing a song about a 16-year
yeah,
old?
like, it just kind of hits different. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you remember who was it? Great Balls of Fire.
Jerry
Uh
Jerry Lee Lewis, yeah,
yeah, didn't he date his
yeah,
younger cousin, much younger cousin?
sure. Well, and Elvis Presley too. He got away
Oh
with some
yeah, with
shenanigans, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh
things
boy, I
things were different
guess if
back
you're
then.
just a famous popular old rock star, you can get away with stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess they were younger then, but not that much younger, right? Oh, obviously the girls were much younger, but yeah, different mores back then for sure.
It's so funny is um Richard Pryor, I'm just going to paraphrase, but he had this bit because he was doing this when he had teenage daughter, and he he would have his his teenage daughter was having her girlfriends over, and he's looking at them and he's feeling like a dirty old man because they're fine looking, and
Yeah.
he says and that's why God gave them a mouth, because as soon as they started talking, I lost all interest. And I'm gonna clean it up and just say that.
Yeah. I got a funny story for you, Rick. You might think
Yeah.
this is fun. It's a football story.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So we're at the football game last week,
Were
and
you wearing your outfits, your cheerleader outfits?
no, we weren't wearing those. But we did have our spirit attire on
Uh-huh.
for Barron Collier High School Cougars. And my wife and I were sitting in the bleachers, and we're kind of in the middle, right? So what
Uh-huh.
is that 50-yard line, right? Good,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Good for you.
And
Yeah. Center
so,
court. Yeah.
yep, yeah, center court, and the team is over by the benches, maybe 50 feet from us,
Uh-huh.
and in between the benches, where my son is standing, chatting with his boys, waiting to get called out for something, or all the cheerleaders, and
Hmm.
there's probably 30 cheerleaders, and it's JV, right? So they're freshmen, sophomores, and
Hmm.
they're doing their routine. There's music going, and every now and again, Bobby turns around and he's looking at us. And at one point, I'm like, I got my sunglasses on, and I'm like, my wife goes, "Stop that!" And I'm like, "What? What's wrong? I'm just like saying hi to Bobby." And she's like,
Uh-huh.
"All those cheerleaders are looking at us, and they think you're looking at them."
Oh, because you have the sunglasses on. They
I
can't
got
see
the
where your
sun.
eyes
They
are.
can't see where and I'm like dancing and pointing, and she's like, they think you're some creepy old guy in the stands, like pointing at him and looking at him and
Uh-huh.
dancing around. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's weird.
Oh
So
man, I'm having a flashback to that concert I went to. Remember
yes, I
where
remember
I
that.
what
Yes.
what the girl called me? She she immediately turned around because she backed into me and I just stood my ground, and then she turned around and looked at me, and then she yelled out, what's it? Something like perv or
Yeah, right,
something,
right.
but
Yeah.
it was like I don't know. I was mortified, but
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
As was I, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. They probably all think I'm like, I took my sunglasses off. I use them because they're prescription. That's the only reason I can see what's going on the field. It's not because it's bright out, but like,
Uh-huh.
here's the creepy guy in the stands with his sunglasses on at 7 o'clock at night. Anyway, I'm like, I'm gonna go get a pizza, my nachos. But oh
Oh,
well.
too good. All right, Bob. We got some birthdays celebrating this week. So if you're listening on when this comes out on October 9th, um, today is Jim Starlin's birthday.
Nice. I love that name.
Jim Starlin. It is a
Yeah.
cool name, isn't
Is it
it?
a cool name? I mean, you can't get better than Starlin.
Oh, I thought you meant Jim.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Starlin's good too.
Sounds like they name a car after you or something.
Yeah. Well, Jim Starlin, he didn't do much of Cap, but
Mm-hmm.
he is a big name when it comes to comic book creators. Most people associate him with Captain Marvel or Silver Surfer, or, Thanos, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
any of those characters. But yeah, he is definitely up there in legendary comic creators. And then speaking of legendary comic creators, 2 days from now, which would be October 11th, none other than Captain America's co-creator, Joe Simon.
Wow, that's a big one.
And then October 15th. October 15th is another big birthday. Not just because it's my birthday, Bob.
Yeah,
I'm just giving you a little heads up,
I appreciate that. Yeah, advance
Yeah.
warning.
Yeah, a little
Nice.
advance warning. Yeah.
Yeah, get the
Yeah.
get the life size cake ready
Yeah.
for me to
You
jump out of.
could
Yeah.
be could mention something in the Facebook group. I don't think you've ever done that in all the years we've
Wow.
done this together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like Facebook doesn't remind you it's my birthday or anything. No, what's funny is uh there's a I don't know if you've seen this cartoon, and it's like a guy gives a card or flowers or something to this girl, and she's like, "Oh my God, you remembered my birthday. You're the best. Oh my God." And she's walking away and she's all excited. You see the little, you know, hearts going as she's walking away. And then
Uh-huh.
you see him just kind of turn around and from the back here, kind of hand behind the corner some dollars, and it's like
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right? I mean, because honestly, if it wasn't for Facebook, I don't think I would remember anybody's birthday other than my wife and
Oh
my
my
kids, of
goodness.
course.
Yeah. My goodness. Even
Yeah.
that's a bit of a stretch for me.
You
Rick,
don't
speaking
remember
of
my
face,
wife and kids' birthday?
well, I don't. I have it written down someplace. But speaking of Facebook,
I didn't tell you the birthday, October 15th. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
yeah, it's
you're right.
my birthday, but sure.
Right.
But Vince Coletta.
Vince. Okay.
Vince Coletta, which we will hear his name today as we're covering the issue. He is a legendary inker from the Golden Age and the Silver Age, and he is Bob number 3 all time in pages inked in comics. Scott Hanna's number 1, Mike Esposito number 2, Vince Coletta number 3. If you had to guess, he did 1,642 stories, Bob.
That's a lot of stories.
It is. If you had to guess, how many pages would that translate into? Inked.
I'm not good at math, so I'm going to go with 30.
Little off.
Okay.
21,093.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a huge body of work.
it is. So, a happy birthday to Vince Coletta.
Speaking of Facebook, you brought up Facebook and that little joke.
Mhm.
I appreciate that. I like that one. I'm gonna think about that one. I'm gonna ponder it longer. But I want to point. I want to say something. I want to thank you for your kindness last night.
Uh-oh.
Because
What did I
yes,
do?
well, it's what you didn't do, Rick. It's what you didn't do. That is why I value you. Sometimes doing nothing is the better part of valor. So, as you know, you probably recall, my wife did a experiment on me last night.
Yes, with the hair coloring.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Mhm.
in all fairness, as I commented on her post, she said, "Are you going to take a shower?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just getting ready to go in now." She's like, "That's great because there's something new I want to try." And I got super stoked. But what she really wanted to do is she had bought this new hair coloring in a can, spray coloring,
Uh-huh.
and she's like, "I want to spray your hair, spray color your hair," and I'm like, "I don't want that." And she's like, "No, no, no, it'll be fine. We'll do a before and after picture, and I will put it on the interweb and take votes."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Well, this sounds like something I definitely do not want to do." And she's like, "Yes, but you're going to do it because you love me." And because she bought this for herself because she's got a little lightening of the hair. Let's just put it that
You know
way.
what, dude? Do not say that out loud ever again. Do not.
Well, it's the reality of it. I know because I'm the one that has to go and get the material at Walgreens. In any case, she bought this as like a temporary thing, but she didn't want to use it on herself until she tried it out on me first. And so, yes, I got to do the before and after, and then she posted it on her Facebook. But you were kind enough to not take sides and
Mhm.
just say you voted for the one with the hair. So much.
Because I was jealous of the hair.
Well, yeah, you did add that too. So I
Yes.
appreciate that. But there's a lot of ways that conversation could have gone south, right? You could have said it didn't cover up. Is there anything you could spray on for the wrinkles?
Mhm.
Or the
Oh, yeah.
sagging or anything
Oh,
like
yeah.
that? There's lots of ways you could have
It
gone
was
with
a
that.
softball, just
Yeah.
lobbed right there, and I went with the self-defacing humor
I
as opposed
appreciated
to
that.
putting you
Yeah.
down. Yes.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if anybody's thinking about spray hair coloring, do not do it.
Mhm.
That's my advice. It takes a long time to get. It says it stays in for until one shampoo. What they don't tell you, that's a 20-minute shampoo. So yeah, it was a long ordeal. A solo, by the way, just to wrap
Yeah.
that up. So
Well, she had you when she said,
yeah, she
"Hey, I want
did.
to try something new in the shower."
Oh, well.
All right, Bob, should we get to today's comic?
Yes, yes.
All right. So here we go. Here we go. Uh, Captain America 172. And I'm sorry, I totally got that wrong. It's Captain America and the Falcon 172. So as I mentioned before, this has a cover date of 1974. In fact, the cover date is April 1974, but the release date was January 1st, 1974. And the creators are continuing for the most part, the same creators that we had before. So we have Steve Englehart. Now, before Steve Englehart was referred to as the plotter, and Mike Friedrich was the um, scripter. But now Steve Englehart is taken kind of a bigger name in this book, and eventually becomes a little bit more of a story. It turns out that Fred was kind of, I'm sorry, Mike Friedrich was helping Steve when Steve was moving. He was relocating over to California, so that's why he's associated with this. But this is really a Steve Englehart story. Penciler Sal Buscema, inker the aforementioned Vince Colletta. Colorist is different for this issue. It's Michelle Brand. Letterer, same as last, Artie Simic, and editor Roy Thomas. Bob, the cover. Now, the cover is a little bit a mixture here. So we have John Romita, we have Gil Kane, and I can definitely see the Gil Kane artwork on the Falcon, right? I can see that in his face big time. Frank Giacoa and also Gasper Saladino, they're all associated with this cover. I would love to see who did what. Looks like to me that John Romita did Cap's face, but Gil Kane did Sam's face. But I would love to get some feedback on that. But anyway, why don't you take the listeners through the cover?
Oh my gosh. This is a I love this cover. This is a fantastic cover because it is chock-a-block with action. So we've got, as you pointed out, there's Falcon on the cover, and there's Cap, and there's a new person that is being introduced into this story arc that we haven't seen before here, and there's a bunch of civilians, as we like to call them, standing around what appears to be a city street, probably New York City, and this bad guy, we presume, is emitting some sort of noise from his mouth, and it appears to be a sonic blast of some kind, and it is traveling out in circles of ever larger diameter. And it's apparently impacting everybody here on the city streets. So we've got all these civilians around. There's, I think, 4 that we can see, and they're all either got their hands over their ears, or they're holding their face. They're obviously in a great deal of discomfort, maybe even agony. And then we've got Cap and Falcon, and Cap is standing closest to this person who's emitting this noise, and he's reaching out with his right hand to do something to try to stop it, but his left hand is clasped over his left ear. So, and you can see on his face, he's grimacing in pain. And then in the foreground, like as close as you could possibly get to the foreground, we see Falcon, and Sam's got his hands clasped over his ears, and it looks like he is screaming in agony. And so there's a lot going on here, and you got to wonder, like, how do we get to this point, and how is this going to end? Because it doesn't look like Cap or Sam are in very, very good shape to fight back. And oh yeah, and there's a sound bubble, Rick. A speech bubble, and Sam is saying the sound, it's deafening, driving me mad. Now the cool thing about this cover, Rick, does it look familiar?
So look familiar.
Yeah, it has a
It
certain
does.
like
It does. It has something familiar about it, but I can't place it.
yeah.
It's the
Well,
rings. The rings are the thing that to me looks familiar, and then the way Sam is holding his head looks familiar.
yeah. So if you were to go to the splash page, I think to 193, the Mad Bomb series by Jack Kirby, that first splash page, when you open that cover, has a similar sort of not, not 100%, but the idea of both Cap and Sam trying to prevent whatever noise is causing them great agony, or in that case madness. Their hands are clasped over their ears in a similar sort of way. So it's got a lot of similarities to Mad Bomb 193, I think.
Yeah, I do love this cover. It is unusual for Cap, right? Like this
Mm-hmm.
isn't something you normally would see. And while you and me and the listeners, probably most of us, are familiar with the Banshee, um, back in 1974, not too many were. It's actually, believe it or not, it is only the eighth appearance of the Banshee,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the first time he's appeared outside of the X-Men.
All right. Yeah.
So it's interesting that Steve Englehart like chose the Banshee. And I don't remember if we talked to him about that particular thing back when
Mm-mm.
we interviewed him. I think what was that, episode 30? I want to say.
It's way back when.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll flash it up on the screen for for people who are watching. But it's interesting choice to go with the Banshee. Now, prior to this, as I said, the character appeared in 4 issues of the X-Men in 1967, 3 issues of the X-Men in 1969, and then skipped almost 5 years later. And then here he is here. So it's like, here's this obscure character that Steve just decided to pull out. It's time for my readers. And as I was saying on this opening splash page, Steve Englehart definitely gets more billing this time around. It's Steve Englehart, author, Sal Buscema, artist, Mike Friedrich, amigo. So
Hmm.
seems more like he got, he's helping out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what friends do.
Yeah.
And the title to this one, Bob, is,
Believe it or not, the Banshee.
and yeah, it is, believe it or not, because again, 5 years later, here's
Right.
this obscure character. And it says here, but before we test your credibility, leave us not forget. Leave us not forget?
That's
That is,
odd.
it is, isn't it?
It is an
Should be
odd
let
turn of
us not
phrase.
forget, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Leave us not forget our resident baddie, the man called Moonstone, or overlook a chance to hear him gloat. And there it is, Moonstone standing over a fallen Captain America and Falcon. And I'm not going to ask you to describe what he's wearing again, because we did that the last two
Mm.
times we did this, part one and
Yeah.
part two. And if you don't know now, go back and listen to those.
And he looks the same.
He really does.
Yeah.
He hasn't grown at all. This is it. The final defeat of Captain America and the Falcon. Are you ready for Moonstone comics? If not, turn the page. They probably thought their discovery of my hideout would break the murder frame I hung on Cap, but all it's done is entangle them in my net. Now it's a simple matter to murder them, end their menace to my charade of heroism, and no. Huh? Oh, the boss. And who is coming through the door, Bob? How would you describe him?
Well, he's wearing a suit, so he's a bad guy. Close cropped hair with a widow's peak and a suit, and yeah, he definitely looks like a politician slash marketing professional bad guy.
Hey now.
Hey, oh, sorry.
Why did you throw a marketing guy in there?
Well, isn't this the line of work he's in?
Yeah.
Okay,
But you
well,
said he looks like a marketing man bad guy.
well, from the '70s, Rick. Like the Mad Men era.
Wasn't the Mad Men era, was it? I thought that
Was
was the
it?
50s,
Oh, maybe it
60s.
was. Who knows? I'm not good with dates.
Yeah, I never watched the show. Quent Moonstone. Call me Quent. And don't even think about killing those two. No matter what sort of ad campaign we ran afterwards, their deaths would make them martyrs, meaning heroes. I love how he explained martyrs to him because he thinks he's dumb.
Well,
To a large segment of the American public. I see your point. People always want new thrills, but death is too oppressive. All right, so I don't kill them. Then what do I do? Call the media, of course, the ones who've demonstrated a bias to our side. Get more publicity, someplace other than here, as you've so admirably figured out. And he's carrying the unconscious Cap and Falcon in his arms and then throws them over his shoulders. And then the next page, we see he's outside in a park of some sort because there's shrubberies around. Thus it is that a short time later in Manhattan's sprawling Central Park, and who's he? He's dragging an unconscious Cap and Falcon, and who's he come across?
oh, these are those chaps that we ran into 2 issues ago, Rick. The sanitation squad.
Cheese, don't come popping out like that, boss. I nearly jumped double cheese. Look who he's got with him. A fine crew of stumblebums you are, standing there gaping. You're the sanitation squad. You're the old pros in crime. Well, so far you've acted like the Bowery Boys. Who are the Bowery Boys, Bob?
Oh my gosh, the Bowery that was like the 1940s or something, wasn't it? Wasn't that
I think
like a
so.
yeah radio show or something?
Yeah. But I don't want to hear it. Just see if you can guard two unconscious men while I make some calls. It shouldn't be too hard. You do have guns. That guy gives me a very sharp pain. Affirmative, number 20. But they're all like that now. Nothing but ego and power hunger. There aren't any real leaders anymore. Number 12 is right. Guys like MacArthur and Eisenhower, they knew they were men like you. But these new fellas think they're little tin gods. And while the guard's attention wavers, we turn the page, and Captain America gets up and he flips him. Two blue eyes pop open and two blue shoulders heave. This is the second time I've come before you hoods were ready. Impossible. We can't have fumbled it twice. Sorry, boys, but it's basic arithmetic. Now I've got some breathing room, but where's the Falcon? Didn't they bring him? And then there's a guy. He's a guy behind a bush, and he pops out behind a tree too, and he's got a big ass gun, Bob, and he's pointing it at the back of Cap.
Yes, he is. Boom.
No, no, it's
Oh,
not time for
you
that.
didn't want to go to that yet? Oh.
No, I wanted to see if you're like, oh no, what will happen? Is Cap in danger? But
I'm just
whatever.
I'm mesmerized because it looks like a huge hair dryer.
It does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. He's like, oh my
Yeah.
god, he's gonna blow dry Cap.
He missed seeing me in the bushes. This is my lucky day. But out of nowhere comes the Falcon landing down on him. Back off, Hitman. Don't you know Falcons can fly? Next page. Then Falcon dives because he's getting shot at. And it makes a big loud noise, Bob.
Boom.
Once again, I think last issue, there was also a sound effect of boom.
There is a boom. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and I think I ended up picking it as my like my favorite panel or something like that. But Foom was also a name of a Marvel magazine.
Yeah, like
right?
a news magazine, right?
Yeah, like a fan magazine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Looks like you haven't gotten used to it yet either, Cap. Not if you were looking for me at ground level. Give me time, partner. I only saw you in action for 5 seconds before Moonstone dropped us. And let's neither of us give this new man with a gun a good target. I don't know why Moonstone didn't kill you right off, heroes, but I'm not paid to think. I'm just gonna do what's needed. Take this. But out of nowhere, Bob. Ah! Red Wing. Let's put this show on the road, man. You called it, Falk. If ever we needed some time to sit and think, it's now. Coming through, people. Pardon my shield. Meantime, down the road a piece, Meantime?
Down
What the
the
heck is,
road a piece.
what's meantime?
Meantime. Well, it's Greenwich Mean Time. So, yeah. My dad used to say down the road a piece. Whenever I said, how much further? He would say, it's just down the road a piece.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I use it now.
meantime.
Yeah.
I mean, meanwhile, sure.
Meanwhile, in the
Yeah.
meantime, you'd have to say in the
In the
meantime.
meantime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And it's Moonstone. Boy, oh boy. In 10 minutes, the press will be here, and by the time the morning papers hit the street, hey, what's that scuffling in the bushes ahead? And we turn the page,
No telling in Central Park.
and coming through is Cap and Sam, and they just wallop Moonstone and they knock him over, like hit him so hard he goes up in the air, and they run underneath him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's something you better not stand in the way of, Jack. Sorry, we can't stay, Moonstone, but you've got the law and unearthly powers on your side, and we don't dare risk your capturing us again. They're out of the park. I can't chase them because I don't dare risk losing the fight to them with people looking on and reporters. Reporters! By all that's holy, the reporters will be here any minute now, ready to see that I've captured Captain America, and I'll have nothing to show them. And he takes one of the underlings and holds him up. Well, there's only one way out, you milksop. Smash me on the back of the head. Go on. I need some proof when I tell them Cap jumped me from behind. Then we cut to the next page, and it is a rainy evening as Cap is on a rooftop, and then overhead of him is Falcon and Redwing. It has begun to rain when Cap and Falk reach Harlem. Now, when I was reading this, it's one thing for Cap to call Falcon Falk,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's like a nickname,
Yeah.
right? He just shortens Falcon and just calls him Falk. Hey, Falk. Fine. I would probably do that, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's another thing for the writer, like in the captions, explain the character as Falk.
Yeah.
And part of me liked it. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm part of the gang. Like I'm part of the
Yeah.
group here that, we can call him
Mm-hmm.
Falk. And I always kind of liked that about Marvel. Marvel wanted to bring you in.
Yeah.
They
The other
wanted to
part of you
include
is
you.
thinking, hey, brand awareness, folks.
Yeah, when you already bought the comic and you're this
I
far in.
guess. Yeah.
A dull gray winter rain that almost seems on cue because it seems so perfectly matches their mood. But once inside Sam Wilson's warm, dry rooms, slaking over rooftops just isn't my style, Sam. Somehow we've got to fight back. Dig it, Steve, but how? Our blowing it at Moonstone's hideout lost you your only clue. No, there was something he said. Got it. I remember now. Sometimes when Moonstone talked, he dropped references to country music. And just before he nailed you, he said that museum moon rock had given him laser power. Laser. And which town known for CM also has a museum with a genuine moon rock? Okay,
All right.
time out.
Somebody's taking some shortcuts here.
Okay. And I'm thinking it's the
Yeah.
letterer.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I'm thinking the letterer didn't have enough space and called country music C
CM.
period M period. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, listeners, please comment if you refer to or have heard someone else refer to country music as CM. Please enlighten us.
There you go.
The other thing too here is, uh, I don't know, maybe back in 1974, people knowing what was in every single museum was a thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's in my museum map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somehow they both knew that the museum that had a moon rock Was in
Yeah.
Nashville.
Oh, I thought that one was a Western music museum. Huh. Okay.
Which town known for country music also has a museum with a genuine moon rock? You'd have to know all the museums that have a genuine moon rock,
Yeah.
and then you'd narrow it down by a town that's known for country music.
I guess I guess when this book came out, Rick, in 74, there weren't that many moon rocks around. It was probably a pretty big deal still.
Okay.
I mean, they had
All
just
right.
gone to the moon, right, in the late 60s. And
I could buy that.
so, yeah, maybe it was much more, well known in popular culture then.
Okay. You're right. I wasn't paying attention for obvious reasons. But Steve, you got something. Let's go to Nashville. Sam, this could be dangerous. There's a lot of power behind this conspiracy, a lot of angles I know nothing about, and they've already shown they'll stop at nothing. Better take a raincoat, man. We don't want to catch a cold. Now that's a good friend,
That is a
right?
good friend.
He
Yeah.
just ignored that and just
Yeah.
like, nope.
Hey, we're going on a road trip. Does he say, oh, man, this is not a good idea? We got a final tomorrow. No, he says, get a raincoat, man. We're hitting the road.
Back when I was in college and someone said get a raincoat, it meant something else.
Did I tell you about the time? No, I won't mention this story now, but I did a overnight road trip down in New Jersey for my roommate to see his girlfriend play basketball, high school
I
basketball.
think you did tell this story.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Two ladies on the team
Yeah.
that they thought were his girlfriend. Neither
Yes.
of them knew. Yes.
Yeah. All right. It's
Yeah.
ringing a bell now. Yeah.
Yeah. Nephew of a famous singer. So,
All right. You know what? I'm going to send a prize to the listener, the first listener that tells us what episode Bob told that story in.
oh, this should be good.
How is it when you're a fugitive with the superhero's traditional lack of ready cash and a long way to go? This is how it is. And basically, they're hitchhiking, and it's Steve and Sam with their masks off and wearing raincoats on the side of the road, and there's a big 18 wheeler that comes up. I don't know if it's an 18 wheeler. No, it's not. Take that back.
Yeah,
But it
it's
is
like
a truck.
it's like a 19. Yeah.
What?
yeah, it's
That
a high
220, 221, whatever it takes.
Right, exactly.
Then with a whoosh, a whoosh, a whoosh of air. Yeah, whoosh makes more sounds than whoosh. Then with a whoosh of air brakes. Howdy guys, what you got? What you doing out in weather where it's only good for ducks? Well, we're trying to fly south. You're in luck. Hop in. So, and they're sitting in the front cabin, Steve on the side and Sam in the middle. Must be a bench seat. Remember bench seats?
yeah, yeah. No seatbelts, just the bench.
Yeah, well, I remember seatbelts on the
Yeah.
bench, but they don't make bench seats anymore. They haven't made
Yeah.
bench seats in forever, right?
Nah, I don't think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
not like those.
Nashville, you are in luck. That's on my way to Little Rock. Take your coats off, guys. It's going to be an all day, all night haul. Thanks anyway, man. But when a coat's all you got to your name, you kind of enjoy wearing it. Besides, Cap was so intent on getting this trip started, he didn't even take time to switch to civvies. This thing is really eating at him. Question. Aren't you leery of picking up two full-grown hitchhikers? Nah, I'm broke, and all I'm carrying is corn, which ain't scarce around yet to steal. Anyway, you look honest. But now that you mention it, you sure are weird. And conversation dies a strangled death after that, as Steve Rogers lapses even deeper into his private thoughts. Sam Wilson watches the driver, and the driver watches them. And all day long, it rains. But all things must end, thank goodness. The following morning, Nashville guys, looks like we run into some rush hour traffic. Then we'll keep going under our own power, man. Thanks a lot for the ride. Sure thing, buddy. Boy, am I glad to be rid of you two. Partner, you gotta lighten up. You nearly drove that dude into screaming paranoia. Then he'd be just like me, Sam. Except I know there are people after me. Let us leave this morbidity now, however, and jump ahead half a block to find a man who just might look familiar. Why
Yeah.
are you smiling, Bob?
This next line really gets me.
Sirens be praised. I was first in line. Oh, wasn't what you were expecting. Sirens be praised.
Nice.
I was first in line for the Mira Haggard tickets. Attending concerts is a strange way indeed for a man in hiding to pass his time. Yet what could be safer? For who would expect an Irish-born Banshee to be a fan of American country music? Now, Bob, how would you describe Banshee?
I mean, right now, what we see is he's wearing a mid thigh trench coat, but beneath that trench coat, we see peeking out what appears to be green and yellow leggings, and he's got wavy. It's sort of a darker. I wouldn't say blonde. I would almost say almost a strawberry blonde, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. He's got the Irish look going, and he's got these shamrock green spectacles on. And he's got a hard jaw, like a very squared off jaw, long face, and this strawberry blonde hair is kind of long, and it's wavy in the back. He gets me, like when I first saw him here. It reminded me of, there's another bad guy that was in gosh, what was it in? I don't remember. Anyway, it was the descendant of Steve Rogers' Revolutionary. Remember bicentennial battles and all that sort of stuff,
Uh-huh.
and Steve's ancestor. There was a guy that Steve fought, a British guy who he killed, and his descendant. I think it was a Kirby story. Anyway, that guy sort of has this look, that sort of colonial wig look. That's what this reminds me of, his hairdo. It doesn't
The other
look like
thing
a
too is
70s haircut, but it
he's
looks
got a lot of space between his nose and his upper lip.
he looks like yeah, like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
A lot of space.
Yeah. Like a Grinch amount of space.
And he turns around the corner and he bumps into Steve and Sam. And with the luck of the Irish, I can avoid those who would seek me out. Hey, wake up, partner. Shakes alive, that costume. The man is Captain America.
No. It's Snakes Alive.
Oh, is
You're,
it?
you're thinking of the St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Shake.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
I could go for one right now.
You got that on your mind. Yeah.
I really
Shakes Alive.
Snakes alive, that costume. The man is Captain America. And we turn the page, big, gigantic splash page.
Wow.
And a big splash page is basically one panel. That's an entire page. And Banshee pulls off his trench coat, revealing his costume, which is that green and yellow costume. And Bob, you want to describe it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost entirely green, except the boots are yellow, and they kind of come up to a point right below the knees, and then over his upper torso, from basically midway from his neck to the end of his shoulders down to really his belly button is yellow down to a point, and it's got this sort of Elvis collar on his costume. It's got a really nice collar. And then he's got these underwings that basically connect his sleeves to his torso, down really to almost like knee length. So almost like glider wings attached to his costume.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting looking costume. Definitely 60s, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he looks angry. He spun away before I could see his face, but his face is not so important as the fact that I've read he's a criminal. So you've tracked me down for your scurvy gang, have you? Then pray loud and long to your saints, lads, for you'll never take the Banshee alive. For you completists, this merry mutant was last seen in X-Men 60, which was 5 years ago, And that was researching Roy Thomas. What's the cat talking about, Cap? And they're taking off their jackets and putting on their masks. Darned if I know, Falk. I've never seen before in my life. But if we're forced into it, three can play at this game. However, as our heroes learn in the following second, only one can play like the Banshee, and then he opens up his mouth and he lets out a giant scream. And then just then, Cap puts up his shield and he blocks it in front of Sam. Good lord, his scream is super ultrasonic, smashing us like a battering ram. And it makes a loud noise, Bob.
Boom.
Gotta tell you, Artie really likes Foom.
Yeah, they're pushing the fans on.
Really did. Your power is incredible, mister, but I faced worse in my time and won. And he throws his shield, but Banshee ducks and it hits so hard the corner of a brick building. It knocks out a couple bricks there. Have you now? And do you think I'll be paralyzed by your reputation? No, but my shield made you turn your head, and that's all I wanted. And he comes up with a big left cross, knocking Banshee back in the jaw.
Pow!
Now, suppose you use your mouth to explain why you attacked me. I'll be using me mouth, all right, to blast ye to kingdom come. Me jaw! You bruised me jaw, and I cannot scream. He could talk, but he can't scream. Without me high-pitched wail, I cannot direct an attack. I must use what sound I can muster to fly free. And so he's flying up in the air, but Cap grabs him by the ankle. What? Not so fast, Hummingbird. What manner of man is this? Me sonic vibrations should pull me out from anyone's grasp. Yet his hold is unbreakable. He's too strong. Meanwhile, and then we see Sam, Falcon, skimming up a long lamppost, very high. And there's people like pointing at him. Lord, I must look like a fool climbing this lamppost. Hot done. What kind of fool thing is he up to? He was right.
That's right. Yeah.
Still, no matter what I look like, my plan justifies it. I hope. The jet tips on my glider wings can't lift me unless I've already got some speed, and I only got speed by swooping. This is all so new, though. If I hadn't gotten the control I think I have, I'll look like more than a fool. I'll look like a squashed tomato. Look out, Banshee. I'm the Falcon. Fly me. And he swoops in, and this is a half-page splash, but it's vertical, and it's nice because you see the arc of the Falcon as he comes down from the lamppost, and he flies underneath the Banshee, who is in the air, being held by Cap's boot, and he comes like a kind of like an uppercut and punches him, and it makes a noise, Bob. I am a little the dialogue in this story has been throwing me a little bit, right? Because I'm not used to it. I don't understand why Falcon says, "I'm the Falcon, fly me."
Because it was an airline ad at the time, Rick. That was a big 70s airline.
Fly me?
Was it Pan Am? Yeah, it was like a stewardess line about it was either Pan Am Airlines.
Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't fly very far, partner, but his landing was definitely not a three-pointer. But your end of it was absolutely beautiful. It's good to be back as a team. Don't be congratulating yourselves too soon, lads. The Banshee's a tough son of the old sod, and me jaws had time to recover. I'm ready for ye again. And he lets out a loud scream. And the scream is aimed at the top of a building, which is causing it to collapse down on Cap and Falcon. Heads up, the building's collapsing. And it makes a loud noise. Holy crow, Cap. You said it, partner. He's firing wild, but he's still a menace. Wild, eh? Try this. And he screams again. And at this point, Sam and Cap are holding their ears in pain. The pain, the pain. Noise deafening. Head feels as if it's going to burst. Have to stop sound. Cap, can't make it. Got to, got to. Keep moving, Falk. Have to reach him. Stop him. Stop. Ah. And he reaches so far as to grab Banshee's ankle, but that's it. And I just want to say here, uh, Bob, I realize Sal is trying to show Falcon and Cap on the ground in front of the Banshee, and this is from behind Banshee, so we're seeing it between his legs. That's a pretty wide stance, right? Like
I
no one
guess, yeah.
normally stands like that. I mean, like he's
Well,
got a. I mean, that's like twice as wide as his shoulders.
yeah, that's true. He's yeah, well, you look in the next panel and his legs are kind of bowed wide like that. But yeah, he's not like crouching or anything, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if you're crouching and then maybe your legs would be shoulder width or wider, but he's not. He's just sort of looming.
and there's in this whole time there's a loud e going on. You'll be stopping no one, my criminal friend. The Banshee may not have your strength or your cohort's wings, but I'll never be taken prisoner by the likes of you. Suddenly, from behind the strange man with the strange words, there is a some sort of ray coming and hitting at the space at the ground between his legs, making a noise.
Ah!
And we turn the page, and who is it, Bob?
It's Cyclops.
Of the X-Men. Snakes alive! 'Tis Cyclops of the X-Men. Hold it, Banshee. I don't want to hurt you, but my optic blast can come a lot closer if you try and make another run for it. And he fires again.
Zzz.
We've come a long way to get you. I'll bet you have, but I'll not be gotten today. Not by Captain America and not by you. And he yells again, and this time he gets Cyclops, who holds his head and yells out, "My ears." The youthful X-Men stumbles to his knees, and for a moment, the older mutant hesitates, as if torn between a desire to run and a desire to stay. But in the end, he runs. Not really, he flies. Can't concentrate enough power to blast him down. Who am I kidding? I can't summon enough power to stand up. He got away. And at the same time, just down the sidewalk, Falk, you all right? Say it again, Cap. It's good to hear something that doesn't hurt my ears. And I'll tell you something else. We better move out before police arrive to. Wait, do you feel a tingle? Like a tugging. Yeah, but what? We're being lifted into the air. Can't fight it. And sure enough, Bob, the two of them are floating in the air, and we turn the next page, and swiftly ever, more swiftly, the set upon pair rise out of the city and fly toward open country. That's pretty far. Until who's there, Bob?
Oh my God, it's Professor X and Marvel Girl.
You think she's 16?
She's
Eh,
close. Yeah,
eh.
yeah.
Why, I know who they are. I'm not sure if they want you to know, Falk. Thank you, Captain America. But the Falcon should be made aware that we are Professor X and Marvel Girl of the X-Men. You should, huh? Then maybe you can let us both be aware why you mutants have declared open season on us. Now hold on. I understand your anger, Cap, but please, listen. What happened today was the reverse of what you think. The Banshee fought you, as he fought Cyclops, because open season has been declared on mutants. All of my other X-Men, many of our allies, and many of our enemies have been captured by a group bent on destroying us. It is difficult to tell friend from foe. The Banshee mistook you and Cyclops for the latter. Look, Professor, I don't want to seem unconcerned, but I have my own problems now. If it's help you're after, it is, and with good reason. You see, I believe the group that hunts you is the same group that hunts us. If that's true, Professor, if that's true, you've got all the help we can give. Tell us more. Dun dun dun. Next issue, The Secret Empire.
Nice.
Bob, what'd you think of this issue?
All right, okay. It was action packed. There's a lot going on here. I mean, Cap goes up against Moonstone, the Sanitation Squad, and Banshee all in the same issue. I mean, that's a lot of action to be had for 20 cents. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a surprise introduction at the end of Cyclops and Marvel Girl and Professor X, tying in a bigger story. So yeah, I mean, I think this for 20 cents, you got your money's worth out of this book for sure, even if there were a few words missing.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is an action-packed story. I guess it remains to be seen how this all plays out, and how this is advancing the overall larger story. Something tells me the X-Men are going to be a little bit more involved now, which will be really interesting. Speaking of interesting, I think you go first, Bob. What was your favorite panel in this story?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's a lot of action-packed panels in this story, Rick. But I think I like the one. I think it's around page 15 or something. It's when they first begin to fight Banshee, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of the bottom panel of Cap and Falcon holding their ears, and Falcon's yelling out, the pain,"
Mm-hmm.
and Cap's like, "Noise deafening." I like this panel because just sort of the positions of the two characters, they're sort of facing different ways. They're
Uh-huh.
foreground, background, but then behind them is all of these jagged lines of the sonic energy that's vibrating around them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that they're in a great deal of agony. They're screaming in pain. So I mean, there's a lot captured in this tiny little panel, but it's really well rendered. And you almost feel for Captain Sam here.
So you get off on seeing other people in pain.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is what you
I haven't
like. This
mentioned
is your
that before.
favorite of all the panels in the story. The one
Yeah,
where they're in screaming in pain and yelling out pain. That's the one
yeah.
that interests
Pain,
you the most.
pain. Yeah, I like to see other people suffer.
Hmm.
Yeah. So how about yourself, Rick?
Always finding out something new about you, Bob.
Oh, good.
My favorite panel actually is kind of goofy. I'm going to go with the actual page 22, as it says in the comic on the bottom. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the fourth panel, and it's the one where Falcon is climbing a lamppost. That one, it's just
Yeah,
goofy. It's just
yeah,
totally goofy.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
then,
mean, it makes sense. He
I mean,
explains
not
it.
only is it look silly, but you got Sam saying, I must look like a fool. And then the guy down below going, what kind of fool thing is he up to? I mean, it's just, it's so, I don't know. It's just silly. That's my
Yeah,
favorite panel.
yeah. You probably wouldn't see that in modern comics, right? Um,
Yeah,
but it was a combination of action and fun. A little bit of humor.
indeed.
How about t-shirt worthy? Is there anything that you'd like to snap on a t-shirt?
Oh, yeah. Bob, you're going to like this one. So I want on a t-shirt. I want page 31, panel 5. This is the second to last page. Okay. And it's Cap and Falcon, and there's rays coming down on them. And Cap says, do you feel a tingle? And Sam says, like a tugging. So I want that right on
Yes.
my t-shirt.
All right. Good. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, Rick. All right, good.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you? What are you putting on a
Well,
t-shirt?
I think I'm gonna go. I think it's like, art wise anyway. Page 4, the upper right hand panel. And I mentioned earlier, I'm not very good at math, so I like this one where Cap is in the park and he's fighting the sanitation squad,
Mm-hmm.
and he's knocking them left and right, and he says, "Sorry, boys, but it's basic arithmetic."
Mm-hmm.
And you see 3 of them just flying through the air, that and he's got one by like the ankle, and he's swinging him around and hitting the other 2. And so that one does it for me right there. I like to
All
show
right.
support for mathematics.
Yeah. No, I like that. I got the cool in the shirt. It was always nice to see an action with the bad guys flying around, you know.
Right, yeah, of course.
All right, what's going in your time capsule, Bob?
Ooh, the capsule. Yeah. Well, Rick, this was a tough one. I got to tell you, I had to really think hard about this one. I'm like,
Mm.
what would I put in a time capsule from this? And I have to say, it was really, I think it was like page 3 that gelled for me, and that was when Moonstone shows up in Central Park, dragging Falcon and Cap, and the sanitation squad guys go, "Cheese, double cheese," and then he calls them stumblebums. And so
Mm.
I'm gonna go with the lingo of the early 1970s.
It's
Um,
interesting because I thought the next panel you would have gone because he refers to the Bowery Boys.
yeah, maybe the Bowery Boys, but no, I had to go with the cheese and the double cheese, because if you're thinking about a really menacing bunch of bad guys who are in cahoots with a guy like Moonstone, then yeah, they would use language like cheese
Yeah,
and stumble bums.
right. It's
So,
like you ever watch uh, a a rated R movie edited for TV, and
yeah,
then
right,
they put in like fake curse words,
right,
right? You
exactly,
know, and
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
ah, cheese and crackers. You know,
right,
like
yeah,
I think that's what they did here. Cheese
yeah,
and double cheese. Like
yeah,
I'm thinking those words are substitutions for something else.
sure, sure, yeah. It doesn't. Yeah.
Nice, nice. For my time capsule, I'm gonna, you know me, I like to go for like, what's a first time something, and so I'm gonna go with the last page, and the last, the first couple panels there,
Oh
where it's the
yeah,
first time Sam meets the X-Men.
right, right.
That's noteworthy to me,
It is,
right?
yeah, absolutely,
Because I
yeah.
looked it up, right? Cap had met the X-Men, I think it was in 1965 in I think it was in the X-Men. The Avengers made an appearance in the X-Men. It
Hmm.
was like an early appearance. Um so but this is the
Now,
first time Sam meets him.
I'm not a, I haven't read the X-Men. I'm not all that familiar with the X-Men. Why would Steve hesitate and think that maybe Professor X doesn't want Falcon to know about them? Are they under wraps? Do they
Yeah,
stay
they
behind the
are,
scenes?
well, mutants are hunted back then, right? So
Yeah.
they're ostracized, feared. And so while Cap is cool with them, um, Professor X was doing things behind the scenes to, to run his team, and he
Hmm.
didn't want people to know that he was a mutant or his students were mutants.
Got it. Got it.
And so I think that's why, Falcon, he was like, do you sure you want Falcon to know about
All
this?
right. All right. Good context. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, Professor X would be like, yeah, he doesn't anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Bob. Well, this was fun. We are getting into the meat of it. I love the fact that the next one is actually titled The Secret Empire. So I think that is a little bit of a hint that we will learn a little bit more about the antagonists here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting good.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bob. Well, as always, I've had fun rapping cab with you.
Yeah, I have as well, and I can't wait till next week.
All right. He's Bob Lucius. I'm Rick Verbanis, and thank you for listening to us. And we always appreciate rating, reviewing, and subscribing, and giving us a thumbs up, giving us any comments on any of the platforms. Um, we want to make sure more people listen to this show, and we need that with your help. So if you can share this on your platforms, whether our Facebook post, share it with your Facebook groups, if you can share it on Twitter or anywhere else, it goes a long way to letting other people know about our show who remember the first time you found us. Wouldn't that be cool for someone else too? So we appreciate your help with that. And as always, thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.